Hello, welcome to Lo-Fi Outdoors. If you watch this channel, then you'll recognize these animals. These are Javelina, and they appear frequently on my game camera videos. Javelina sort of look like pigs. They live in the southwest United States through Central and South America. They're actually a different type of animal called a collared peccary. And they're not as closely related to pigs as you would think. They are really common around where I live, and so every now and then you'll see one that is struck by a car. In this case, I found a javelina that had deceased in the arroyo near my house. There was a flash flood there recently, and perhaps this animal was unlucky and caught in the flash flood. But in any case, this video features the process that I used to preserve the skull of this javelina that I found. It's a little, it's not the prettiest footage to watch, and it does feature a dead animal. This channel generally features living animals, and I would prefer it that way. But in this instance, I do think it was fascinating to learn more about the anatomy of a javelina by trying to preserve its skull. I used a method that I found on YouTube. I'll link to that channel below. The channel was called Whitebone Creations, and this person was cleaning fresh pig skulls, so I figured it was close enough to a javelina, and I tried this method. It was a success. If you watch this channel frequently and you don't want to see me clean a javelina's skull off, I totally understand that. I will be back with some desert trail cam videos soon. So here we go. This is cleaning and preserving a javelina skull.
Okay, so I found this deceased javelina. As I'm pointing out, I had nothing to do with the demise of this animal. It's in a wash. There was a flash flood here last week, and maybe that's what got it, or who knows what else. But I'm going to try to salvage the skull from this javelina and see how that process goes. So my first step here is I'm going to pick it up and bring it home.
I thought at first it was a female javelina skull, but upon doing some more research, it appears there's very little sexual dimorphism in the skulls of collared peccaries, and so I don't know. I also don't know the age of this animal. The skull is a pretty good size, but I'm not sure how old it is.
Here is the setup that I'm using to start to clean this skull. I have a Coleman stove. I have this cook pot here. I already have the head in the pot. I'm waiting for it to boil. I used a YouTube video, another YouTube video, to get the process. It was a guy who is removing the flesh and whatnot from pig skulls, so I'll put a link to his video in the notes of this one. He suggested using Arm & Hammer detergent, so that's what I have as well. It's in here, and the javelina head is in there. Now, the guy that I was using as a guide was using fresh pig heads, and this is a very desiccated javelina head, so he was able to remove a lot more of the flesh and skin and whatnot with a knife, and I was unable to really get any of it off with any sort of tool. So I'm going to just try boiling it here. This is the first time I've done this, so don't use this as an expert video. This is a experimentation here. But I'm waiting for the water to boil. I'm going to boil it for about half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe a little more. And then I'm going to come out and see how much of the material I can remove from the bone.
I actually ended up boiling it for closer to 2 hours, and I would say you have to do this outside because the smell was really bad. A very strong, rank odor.
Alright, so after boiling it for about an hour and a half, this is what I'm left with. Those are some serious teeth. Wow. And the skull is mostly cleaned off. This is the flesh that was still attached to the head. You can see the nose right there, which is kind of gross. But yeah, this is mostly cleaned off. I think there's still some cartilage and gross stuff left on there. I'm gonna dump the water out and throw it in for another half an hour. But it's working okay so far. Alright, I've boiled this twice now, and there's still some material stuck to the skull here. And so I'm going to try to power wash this and see if the power washer will get a lot more of this off. Teeth. Wow. Here's one of the tusks, the upper teeth. The power washer did destroy one of them, so it must have had some kind of cavities or something. Here's the tooth that didn't come out that good. But I'm going to save these and just super glue them back into the skull. The guy whose method I am following said that you should remove the front and lower teeth and clean them anyways, otherwise they will maintain some, flesh and whatnot, and that will cause them to stink when you're done. So I'll save these and return them to the skull when I'm done. Might go ahead and blast inside here in a sec. Get whatever I can out of the nasal cavity. The idea is to really just try to get anything that's fleshy, or that's a type of material that's going to cause a decaying smell later. And just remove as much of it as you can. Seems like she's already pretty brainless. The state that the corpse was in when I found it, it looked like the coyotes and the vultures had really done a job at picking at it. And so the remains are pretty cleared out already. Just reaching in there, try to give a little blasty blast. I don't like it when it splashes back in my face. That's not my favorite part of this. Hey, look. There's a hole in there, and like right here. See my finger, there's a hole right there where it looks like someone has already pecked or picked the brains out, which is good for my purposes. And it looks like if we look down the tunnel there, I don't think you can see, but there's quite a bit of stuff still in there that I would prefer to have out if I can get it. Let's go for the jaw for a minute, huh? Anyways, here's the skull. It's looking all right. Doing a pretty good job here. It's a little gruesome. the lower tusks. Guess that's pretty good. Don't see any more flesh. Okay, so here is the skull. It's been power washed. It was boiled for about 3 hours. I boiled it with the Arm & Hammer laundry detergent, and I think it's come out pretty well. The front teeth were removed as suggested to get all the little bits of residual non-bone matter off. Here's the lower jaw, which looks nice and clean. So now my next step is I'm going to put this back into a wash, but the next time I wash it, it's going to be a wash of 40% hydrogen peroxide. So I'm going to prepare that and get that going right now. So I'm not sure that this is the right kind of hydrogen peroxide. They say to use 40% hydrogen peroxide. I just went to Walgreens and got some regular hydrogen peroxide. So I'm not sure if this is going to work. I'm going to put the skull in there, the jaw in there, put the teeth in there, and then we're going to bring it to a boil and then shut it off. And we'll see if that works. I'm not sure, like I said, this might not be enough peroxide or the right kind of peroxide for it to work. But we will find out. I do want to cover it, I guess, so it'll boil. Alright, so now I'm trying to boil it in the peroxide. There it is. I said I don't know if this will work because this might not be the right type of peroxide. The next part of this video might be me going to get 40% peroxide and trying again. But for now, we're going to see how this goes. Here it is. I brought it to a boil in the peroxide, and it's bubbling away. Again, I don't know if this is going to work or if I'm going to have to order some stronger peroxide. I don't really care if the bones are completely bleached white. I know some people like it to look like that. I just want it to be clean. I don't care if it's completely bleached white. I just want it to be clean. So we'll see how it does. Just popped it out quickly to see. And it's coming out pretty good. I don't think I'm going to bother with the stronger peroxide. I think for my purposes this is going to be just fine. I'm going to return it in there for a few more minutes, but I think for my purposes this is going to be just fine. I don't want to damage the bone. It doesn't look like it is damaging the bone. So I took them out of the hydrogen peroxide wash after a little over an hour, maybe 2 hours. And I think it came out pretty good. It's not perfectly bleached white, but as I said, I don't really need it to be, and I think it looks pretty decent. I'm gonna put it back together and see how it turned out. So here's the finished product. It's Javelina skull, all cleaned up. Came out pretty good. Not too bad. I have super glued the tusks and the loose teeth back in place. And you can see the molars fit right nice together, and the tusks go back together, and it came out pretty good. It's not as white as if I bleached it with 40% peroxide, but I'm happy with it.